we've been looking at this guy. Um, so this sort of mask that we've been working on, and we turned it from just a plain black mask into something quite different, very bronzy, very cool looking. So what I want to do is create an entire character based on this single concept. So with character creation, like sometimes you will do stuff from the ground up, and you'll see um, you'll see the whole thing in your mind before you start. Sometimes like this, I'll be working on just a sort of random concept. So this is a very random thing I wanted to work on, and then in my mind, a character starts to emerge from it. So I kind of want to look at how I would research a character visually, and how we would create something from there. So again, this is Carmen Moses, your drama mama, performing arts director, and drama teacher. Check out our group at JNSA Drama if you are interested in more information and seeing some other videos and some cool stuff. JNSA Drama is also the place for our music class, so lots of cool stuff there. So let's get right into it. We're going to look at creating a character based on a concept. So I was looking yesterday, I was researching plague doctors, which is where this image is based off of. So we're going to look at the wiki. Actually, I want to look at images first, and then we'll look at the Wikipedia. So this is our plague doctor look. And as you can see, it sort of evolved over time. And people have kind of put their own spins on what a plague doctor would actually look like. And we're going for a very steampunky look for it. That's kind of interesting. All right, so we're going to go back and we're going to look at the Wikipedia article. A plague doctor was a medical physician who treated victims of the bubonic plague. In times of epidemics, these physicians were specially hired by towns where the plague had taken hold. Since the city was paying their salary, they treated everyone, both the wealthy and the poor. Now let me see if there's anything here. This is interesting. Some plague doctors wore a special costume. The garments were invented by Charles Delorme in 1630 and were used in Naples. But there's a historical difference between the plague doctor mask that you see kind of in pop culture and the original plague doctor mask. So let's look at... I much prefer the pop culture one because this some of the original ones are a little hideous. So as you can see, I think in like pop culture and stuff like that, we kind of prefer this sleeker look because this just looks like just put it together last minute. It's a little creepy looking. If I saw something like that walking towards me, I'd probably faint. So we are going for a more again, a more steampunky sort of look to it. If you're out there, please feel free to leave comments. And if there's anything that strikes your fancy or you think is interesting, please comment, and I'll be happy to look at whatever. This is the fun thing about live, is that we can interact with each other. And if something's lame, we can be like, that's lame, I don't want to see that. But don't do that because that's me. So the main point that we're getting to with all of this is not just creating something interesting, even though that's cool. What I want to emphasize is the research part, research, and how ideas are developed. So that's kind of where we're going with the mask and with some of the other little projects that we're doing. So when I get an idea, the first thing, of course, is research. And an idea can come from just about anywhere. I mean, it can come from your own head. It can come from looking at something. For us, our original idea just came from a Halloween store mask, and using kind of my own aesthetic and stuff that I had around the house, how we built this up. So we're going to build this up into a full-fledged character. I'll just have you guys look at that while we're still scrolling. So looking at our plague doctor mask here. So one thing, whenever we're either studying a character in a play or monologue, or we're trying to create a realistic character for anything else. Cosplay, if we're writing something original, anything like that. I want to know what the time frame looks like. So here we see 16th century. Let's go back to our Wikipedia article. Look it up here. Play Dr. Wiki. And we'll go to all here. All right, so let's see. We'll go to history here. So history is really important in looking at building up a realistic character. So let's see here. The first European epidemic of the bubonic plague dates back to the mid-6th century and is called the Plague of Justinian. The largest plague epidemic was the Black Death in Europe in the 14th century. The large losses of people in the town creating an economic disaster. So community plague doctors were considered quite valuable and were given special privileges. For example, plague doctors were freely allowed to perform autopsies to research a cure for the plague. In some cases, plague doctors were so valuable that when Barcelona dispatched two to Tortosa in 1650, outlaws captured them en route and demanded a ransom. Barcelona paid for their release. Very interesting. So let's see here. Looks like we're at about the 1600s. Even though we're talking about plagues as early as the 6th century and the 14th century. So we want to look, what I'm seeing a lot of repetition on is 1600s. So we want to look at 1600s, the culture, the type of dress. So let's see here. Let's look at European dress in the 1600s. So we'll start with the look of the character. And we're going to take a look at what fashion looked like. This stuff is looking pretty fashionable. I like it. Especially this. I don't know what this is, but I need one in my size. So it's an interesting graphic here we can look at. Born in the wrong century. I feel that so hard. So looking at some of the dress, and what I'm thinking of, or what I want to sketch is a sort of like a Victorian character. I kind of like, kind of gravitating towards this right now. We'll just keep on doing a little bit of research. And I'm looking for something that is kind of in line with what I see in my mind. So as you get a like kind of mental image of what you want a character to look like, you want to look for things that are close to it for patterning and all sorts of good stuff. I think this is probably close to what I was looking for, or close to what I was picturing. So we're going to sketch this something out like this, and we're going to save this picture as well for referencing. And I like to have a folder on my computer for all of my projects where I'll have a folder that says reference photos and folders for just about every different phase. So reference photos are important. This is also kind of something that I'm looking for. So can we enlarge and inspect this? I'm not sure if we can. Ah, here we go. This is more, this is actually later. This is more colonial. But I do like this coat. All right, now, in addition to this, I also want to look at like a feather headdress, because something about this mask and the bird imagery made me think of feathers. So I want to look at feather headdresses. So we're going to create sort of a character that's a cross between several different cultures. And we're creating a fantasy type character. So let's see here. We'll just look at all the images and see what comes up. And these are pretty, you know, Native American. I kind of want to go for something a little bit more. I kind of want to say showgirl, like something more like this, but in black. It looks like, what is that, a skull? I think that's cool. Maybe something like this. So again, you want to save your pictures in order to create like a mood board type thing. And then if you don't know what a mood board is, we can look that up shortly as well, because we will be creating one in a future lesson. Let's see here. That's really interesting, the sort of religious halo. That's pretty cool. And this is kind of akin to what I'm looking at as well, or what I'm looking at in my mind. And actually, this is just about perfect. This is almost exactly what I'm looking for. We talked about how there's nothing new under the sun, and we had that discussion last time. So okay, that's perfect. All right, so we're going to go to our sketching after having looked at all of these. Not sure if the audio dropped out there, but our next phase is going to be to sketch it out, and then in future classes, like I said, we're going to actually try to construct the character costume. And again, I'm not an expert on sewing, but I know what I'm looking for. I know what I like, and hopefully that will be enough. So I have a piece of, not sure what kind of paper this is, but I really, really like it. It's a cotton rag paper, and we are going to sketch, and I've got some gouache paint here, and we are going to create a character based on our mask and some of our reference photos that we've seen. So we are going to pop back up here. All right, so we talked a little bit about figure drawing last time, and figure drawing is really important to nail down when you are designing for costumes. I know it's a little bit hard to see. I've got absolutely terrible light in this room. So make sure that if you are wanting to be a costume designer or wanting to create costumes of any type, that you are at least somewhat versed in figure drawing. And then in the previous lesson, we talked about how when we were designing our figure drawings, don't have to be they don't have to be super anatomically accurate. We're not going for accuracy here. We're going for communication. So and again, I know it's a little bit hard to see here, but we're just laying down the foundation of our figure so that we can start designing our costume. And I tend to draw really, really lightly, so bear with me just a moment. And then with any kind of character creation or character sketches, I like to think not just about what they're wearing and the basic facts like, okay, is this, you know, a tall person, a short person, fat person, skinny person. I'm not just worried about the physical, easily observable stuff. I'm also looking for things like attitude and, you know, if they're like a haughty person or if they are a humble person. So I like to kind of communicate that in my character sketches as well. So we're just going to get very simple character sketch down as quickly as possible so that we can work on all the fun stuff and the details. Now I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit, and I'm not gonna draw the legs into detailed because I'm going for a skirt. So we'll kind of have a little shortcut there. I'm gonna fill in some preliminary arm shapes, but they might change a little bit depending on what kind of clothing we're gonna put on our character. So here. Right, there we go. I lost my thought. It's like I was talking, my brain went, nope. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that super well, but we have our, my camera's also having focus issues, but we are just sketching out our character based on our research that we've done. So we are creating a character based on our mask, and we're just talking about how to completely conceptualize a whole character, whether you are writing, drawing, cosplaying, designing for theater, anything like that. You want to have a whole picture in your head. Hi, we miss you guys too. That's from hey girl. Yes, we've been enjoying doing our live videos. We're also going to be bringing some new course content. So a lot of exciting stuff happening, but there's nothing like being in the classroom, and I miss my people. Funny story, I actually have a tree like right outside my window, and I don't know if you've ever seen like Poltergeist or like the really crazy movies where like there's a tree like breaks through the window. It likes to scratch at my window just periodically with the wind, and like if you just hear me stop for a couple minutes, half the time I'm looking at the window and making sure we're not in a poltergeist situation. So we are going to add a little bit of detail. I want to get a little bit darker so you guys can see it. So I kind of want to change pencils. So let's see what I've got in my kit here. In one of numerous kits, because I've fortunately or unfortunately amassed a lot of art supplies. And I think a 3B. So we've talked about pencils a little bit in some of my art classes. So pencils have different grades, B meaning black or signifying black, and then H for hardness. So H pencils will be lighter and B pencils will be darker. So we'll see if we can darken this up just a little bit. Is that the pencil I want to use? Yeah, I think so. All right, so let's see if we can darken up our details a little bit. Oh yeah. Now we can see. All right, we're gonna go back and take a look at our reference pictures here. We'll go back to kind of our complete Victorian outfit. Let's see here. And again, this was a little bit more colonial, but it's kind of what I pictured. I want a coat like this that's cut in. So I kind of want to use that photo, but let's try Victorian, Victorian costume. We'll keep it simple. And now we're a lot closer to what I was looking for. So I kind of want to do almost a gender bend. So I do want some kind of angular elements to it, but still kind of with a femininity. So this is actually really, really close to what I saw in my head. And again, we're just at the research portion. So you want to research, save your photos, look for things that are similar to what you're envisioning. And we'll again next week we'll probably talk about mood boarding and how to create both a physical and a digital mood board for when you are looking for inspiration and ideas. So I'm going to look at this for reference, and we're going to start sketching out some details. While I'm doing that, don't forget about the online monologue festival. If you're looking at Facebook, it's if you look up hashtag OMG, you'll see online monologue festival. This is the last day to to enter. So if you haven't gotten on that, go for it. I believe in you. And next week we'll continue with our monologue Monday. And again, we're going to be diving into Romeo and Juliet a little bit more, as well as just some random monologues and how we break things down and research them. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but my dogs are whining. They're really mad at me because I haven't paid enough attention to them today. Now, I don't think I want to do my skirt quite as full and round as this particular costume here. I think I want to do something a little bit more practical. So we're going to do long circle skirt. So again, we're not going for any particular accuracy with this costume. We're going for sort of a fantastical amalgamation of several different types of clothing and costume. I do like this bow around her neck. It's a little bit hard to see. So I think that would be a really interesting addition to this costume, because we're going to have something that's a little scary, a little intimidating, but with these sort of soft feminine elements to it. And then I'm just taking a look at my mask here so I can get an idea what that's going to look like. I'm going to turn it on the side. I know you can't see that, but turning it on the side of my desk so I can see it. I'm actually going to switch back to my other pencil here. So I like to use H or HB pencils to do my preliminary sketches, and then I use my B pencils to just get it a little bit darker and a little bit more detailed. Now, doing these drawings or any kind of drawing in an hour is, for me anyways, it's a little tough. I tend to take a long time on my drawings because I like to be very detailed. So I've had drawings that have taken me hundreds of hours. I've had drawings that have taken me, 10, 15 hours. So something to consider when you're watching someone do a drawing in an hour. It usually takes us a little bit longer to do. All right, and go ahead and darken up some of these details so you can see them a little bit better. All right, and we're going to take a look again at our feather headdress. And normally I will have had all of these things saved and in one place or printed out. I like a combination of print and digital. So I might look things up digitally, but I may have print copies as well, just because it's easier for me to see. And we'll talk about that when we go over mood boarding a little bit more next week. And I hope everyone's having a happy Friday. I'm honestly ready for Saturday. All right, so we're looking at our feather headdress here, and I kind of want the feathers to be coming from the mask. And again, if I wanted to do a super, super detailed drawing, lots and lots of feathers, that would take me a lot more time than what we have time for here. So I'm going to do just a very general drawing here. And one of the things that you want to be aware of as well when you're creating anything that has maybe different cultural elements, you want to make sure if there's any sensitivities that you're aware of them. So we don't want to make this look like like a Native American headdress. We want to be respectful of that. So this is going to be more like a what we call a showgirl. Very big and extravagant. And if I'm going to make this part, I'm going to need a lot of black feathers, a lot of them. And that's funny because I have feathers in just about every color except black. So we're making just a very generalized. All right, so this is our costume sketch so far. And it might not end up looking like this when we're done actually fully making the costume, which hopefully is one of the goals here. But we want to start somewhere. I actually probably prefer this to be like more of a button-up coat, something very prim and proper looking. Okay, now I'm going to add just a little bit more detail, and then we're going to go in with a black pen or black drawing pen, and we are going to darken up all these details. And let's see what time it is. Oh, it's 2:37. We still got a little bit of time. If we get time, then we will go and actually start coloring everything in. And if not, we'll finish up another day. And again, if we're creating a character that we want to write about, or if we're creating a costume sketch from a character from a play, I like to think about more than just what they're wearing. I like to think about their attitudes and things like that. So instead of looking down, we're looking straight ahead in a very sort of objective way, and then throwing a skull in there because why not? I think whenever I come up to something and I'm like, there's something I want, I'm not sure what it looks like. Google is our friend. So I'm going to look at Victorian canes because I want her to have a cane in her hand. So looking at particular cane styles. Oh, did I spell it wrong? And I think my character probably would have something between here and here. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Freestyle Friday is about working on. Honestly, the original intention of Freestyle Friday was so that I could kind of scratch my artistic itches and work on different projects that aren't drama related. But I feel like drama has possibly become so ingrained in my life that I can't separate the two. So as much as I just want to do just a fun drawing, now I'm thinking about, well, I can turn this into a costume sketch. I can make this into a costume. There's a lot more stuff that we're going to cover in the coming weeks, including patterning, costume construction, all sorts of fun stuff like that. And again, I'm not an expert on creating anything in particular, and I could be an expert, and I still wouldn't proclaim to be an expert because I like to. I always think there's more to learn, and I always think there's definitely many people out there that know more than I do. So it's not meant to be any kind of be all end all. I just want you guys to, I just want to share the way I like to do things. And hopefully there's another noob out there that's just like, oh, maybe I can save you a couple steps. All right. Took me like 3 tries on that ruler, but I've got our cane now. Okay. So here's our character so far. And we're just discussing costuming, costuming and conceptualizing and research as part of building a total character. One thing that we could do for in our next video is we could take something like this and then actually build a story around it and start creating a play or a monologue based on characters. So a lot of these artistic concepts tend to interweave in drama, which is why it's a little bit, I won't lie, it's been a little bit challenging being a drama teacher, but I think one of the things that kind of got me into it easier was the fact that there's so many different types of art that go into drama. There's visual art, there's performance art, there's mechanics, there's technical elements, and then we can get into things like lights and electronics. And so I think there's really something for everybody in drama. And I tend to encourage my students to, when we're kind of introducing them to the drama course, I say, even if you don't want to be on stage, there's a lot of other drama related things that you can work on, that you can try. Right now I'm looking for my drawing pens, which are not where I left them. That's gonna make me cranky. Let me see if I've got one just sitting around somewhere. They're usually in that kit. We could just go straight to painting, but I don't think I'm bold enough for that yet. All right, I think I've got one here. All right, not the type of marker I was looking for, but All right, so we are just going to kind of, I'm going to say finalize, but not necessarily finalize our sketch, but we are going to refine our sketch. Polish it up a little bit. So right now I'm just outlining, and then we're going to go into a full color sketch, and we are going to use this in conjunction with our prop making and our conceptual skills to create a character or a story based on this character. I actually used to be quite the prolific writer in my younger days. And I still retain some of that writerly mentality. I do miss writing sometimes, so hopefully this will be a good excuse for me to get back into it. I'm hoping to try to get back to being an artist with some of this extra time. Sometimes I get so into teaching and mom stuff and working that I forget that I went to school to be an artist. So I should probably probably put out a little bit of art every once in a while. I do have some interesting projects lined up. I do have going to be working on a new photography project soon, which this will hopefully be a part of, because when I originally envisioned this costume, I envisioned it as something for a photography set. So she might still end up being that, but I like the idea of creating a character and writing a character based on these loose sketches that we have. Okay, and let me go down into the collar here. I made the neck a little bit thicker than I wanted to. And I kind of want her completely covered. So she'll have like an additional collar in the neck there. And today we're just looking at costume sketching and creating a complete character. And everything that you put into a character is going to create a richer definition of who they are. Like here, I'm thinking, would I want this character to have gloves, or would I want them to have something more akin to a mitten where you couldn't see their fingers, so that they were almost non-human. And I'm not sure I want to make that decision just yet. And part of it is I'm just really bad at drawing hands. Well, I'll say I'm bad at drawing hands quickly. If I sit there for several hours, I'm sure I can come up with a really good hand drawing, but I don't think I have all that kind of time. And then once we're done with our ink drawing here, we're going to erase our pencil lines, and we're going to start coloring it in. It's whatever we might have time for today. All right, I know you guys are really impressed with that straight line. I am too. Almost surprised at how straight that line was. See if I can do it again. No, not bad. I did one super straight line and one semi-straight line, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's the little things, you know. And I don't know that I would be willing to try to learn how to make a corset at this particular juncture, but if we don't find something pre-made, I might entertain the idea as we're assembling this costume. Let's see if I can go for another really straight line. Oh yeah. All right, so we have our sketch fully lined, or just about fully lined. We're gonna go through and erase all of our pencil marks. And these kind of pens dry pretty quickly, but still, I like to give it a little dry time. I'm just going back and darkening up some of the lines because this is a pretty textured paper, and the eraser lifted off some of the black. It's not too bad though. All right, so now we have kind of our basic character conceptualization. We have the starting point of inspiration, which was this other completely random project. So now I want to start looking at colors. How do I want this whole character to strike us visually? We've got a few more minutes here. So because this mask is already bronze, and because the feather headdresses that I was looking at were black, I think that's pretty much going to be our color palette. It's going to be bronze and black. So let's grab some, maybe like bronze, gold, and black. So maybe not on this sheet of paper. If I was going to present this nicely, I might get a scrap sheet. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. Grab a scrap sheet. So, and a mood board or a digital mood board, I would have color swatches. So I would just do something really simple like this. You can make it a little bit nicer and put it in little squares or what have you. So I might do several color swatches and fabric swatches as well, which we'll get into next week. And have all of those things kind of laid out either on like a cork board is a good place for a mood board, a piece of cardboard, anything like that. So I'll have my swatches, and I'll say that this is actually more of a gold, but we're gonna say it's bronze right now. I do have a bronze Sharpie somewhere. I'll find it at another time. So I'll just write something like mask and details or accents. Actually, let me write that with the pen so you can see it a little bit better. Mask, details, accents. We'll do coat, skirt. So I'll call this like main fabric or something. However you notate your costume sketches is purely a matter of personal preference. So I tend not to do things super neatly, especially in my own sketchbooks, but if I'm going to present it to somebody else, I'll probably make it look a lot nicer than this. Okay, and then in a complete mood board, I might also have, like we said, fabric pieces, pieces of these feathers that I want to use. But that's I think that's where we're going to stop today on our costume sketching. And we will resume this sketch in our costume conceptualization this week. So just as a review, we went over today how to research, how to create a complete character based on a concept, and how to build up our initial ideas into a complete, fully fleshed out character. So we're going to start here next week, where we're working on our design. Hopefully this will be finished by next week. I'm going to give it, I'm going to try to put a little effort into this week so that we can finish this part of our mask and move on to the next part of our costume. So the intention is to basically create this entire look in the coming weeks, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we're up to it. So there we go. That's where we're going to stop for today. If you haven't checked out our academic support, it's facebook.com/group/JNSA Academy. And you can get some help with your distance learning. We have tutors Monday through Friday and also Saturday. If you want more information about drama or music, we have our JNSA drama group. And of course, don't forget to check out our website. Yay, scrolling across the bottom. And this has been Carmen Moses, the drama mama from the Jesse Norman School of the Arts, just talking about character and sketching. So if you want to check out the rest of the video, feel free to send me comments or let me know if there's something that you liked or didn't like. If you're like, I hate the the Prismacolor pens you use, I'll listen to you. I might still use Prismacolor though. But yes, so hopefully you enjoyed our costume sketching, and we're going to work more on writing and fully fleshing out this character next week. But it was fun, and I will see you guys on Monday for Monologue Monday. All right, bye guys.